So I'm going to jump in. I don't have any notes, and I actually started making coffee so that I don't ramble. But of course, I don't have any notes. And what I want to talk about, just it's Sunday, it's the last day of May, and I am going to revisit this again. The difference between a digital nomad person that is on a visa and someone that calls themselves a digital nomad or an influencer or a location independent person. That's topic number one, because I am tired of one, people trying to educate me and give me tips. Listen, if this is you, I have talked about this before, but it was in another video before. So that's understandable because not everybody listens, not everybody reads, and not everybody is really interested in a lot of different things or whatever. However, I have been in the game a long time. It says that in my about description. I think like my main video. But I think the problem is this. Here's the problem. I think if someone sees someone creating content on the internet, they assume that person is a content creator and is depending on views to earn money. That is not me. That is not what I do. That is not what I have ever done. I don't care about YouTube. I have never liked YouTube. I have never relied on YouTube for anything that I do. I have always used some other platform to communicate whatever it is that I need to be done, whether it's in a private group or creating content for a client. The second thing, people, polymaths, chameleons, people, multidisciplinary types of people who have different talents. Yo, y'all, I feel for y'all in today's world. Please feel for me, because it seems as if, and I have talked about this also before, and maybe this just has to do with the fact that so many people put themselves in a box just so they can be seen on social media. That is not me. I will never do that. I have never had to rely on that. But I also think it comes into, I think the reality is that a lot of people, this isn't a jab, but I really want some of y'all to really sit with this or whatever, right? I can't say that I have a lot of talents and skills, because if someone talks to me and meets me and they ask me what I do and I actually tell them every fucking thing that I do very fucking well, they start to feel some kind of way. That's not my problem. So I just let people assume what they assume about me. So if I'm out somewhere and someone meets me and they meet me through a friend that I happen to do digital work with, they assume that I am just only in tech, right? If someone meets me because I'm in a group of people or with a group of people who are do crafts or something like that, they then assume that's all that I do. Yo, everyone in my family is multi-talented and master craftsmen. I know people have problems with that word, but y'all just gonna have to get over it. It's funny because like in 2018, I got this download, and I'm psychic, not just psychic, but on some next level shit. So the picture that you're gonna see after for my thumbnail, I am the thought reader. I am the original thought reader. I don't go by that moniker anymore, because I literally ended up on the internet because I used to read. I still read, but in a different way or whatever. And from being a reader, that is how the tap and the porch came about. I could spend all day talking about the things that I do and I do very well. And it is so annoying and so disappointing, but I blame it also on the education system. I blame it on a lot of y'all following these influencers and people talking about being content creators who also have a lot of different skills and gifts, but you would never fucking know because these platforms force people into a box. I have been talking about population control, like controlling, also social engineering, right? Forcing people to pick a niche if you want to be seen on social media. Now let me circle back around. Inevitably, someone will want to give me a tip. If you want more viewers, or if you want more followers, or if you want more this, you should do this. Listen, people, I have been doing this for a long time. I don't rely on views or content or advertising to make money. So let's keep this in the context of what is an actual digital nomad for people who want to move abroad. I'm going to focus on that for a moment and wait for my coffee to be done. As it relates to visas, as it relates to immigrants, expats, or again, whatever anybody wants to call themselves today, it is not somebody who is a blogger or who is famous on Instagram or famous on TikTok or whatever, because I'm going to challenge you to do this. There are people with hundreds of thousands and almost millions of followers, right? Who talk about and want to move abroad, but can't. Or they do, but you will find that they go back and forth because their visas run out. They're not going to tell you this, and of course there are some exceptions. But the truth of the fucking matter is they go back and forth because their visas run out. They don't tell you that they arrive on shores abroad on a tourist visa, which is typically 30 days, or they arrive on a tourist visa and extend it. So for Brazil, I'm speaking for Brazil, but it's pretty much the same all over, 30 days. Then you can extend it. So Brazil, you can extend your stay up to 90 days, I believe it is. Don't quote me on that one. So then you can extend it. After that, you got to figure some shit out. Either you go back to your homeland or you go to another country. And Brazil, it's not, oh, let me step over into Argentina for a little bit and spend 24 hours there until my visa resets. No, it's a calendar year that you have to not be in the country. And yes, you can overstay your visa and there's some small fees. I mean, I'm speaking as a person that's privileged with American dollars or whatever, that you have to pay if you're going to re-enter. Or the other thing they can do is get a longer term visa, which they end up typically getting a student visa. A student visa is pretty simple. The education, again, I'm only speaking on Brazil, but you see it happen all the time. I'm telling y'all to look at the patterns. I'm giving you the fucking secret, right? Because y'all keep comparing yourselves to these people who aren't telling you the full fucking truth. I am the wrong person to mess with, one, because I have experience. I've been doing this way longer than most of the people out there. So if you're looking at my 109 whatever fucking followers or subscribers on Instagram thinking that's the whole of who I am, you are sadly misinformed, because I am not putting myself in a box. So a lot of these people then will get a student visa, which means that they have to pay for school, and then they take, it's really simple. You think that they're taking I'm in Brazil, so I'm going to say Portuguese. You think they're taking Portuguese because they actually want to fucking learn Portuguese. Most of them are not really concerned about learning Portuguese. Doesn't mean that they're not going to learn Portuguese. What I'm saying is most of them are enrolled in an educational institution so that they can get the student visa, which will allow them to stay abroad longer. So again, when you see all of these so-called influencers going back and forth every 60, 30, 90 days, and they're giving you some lame ass, y'all, when the stories and the pieces don't line up, just keep asking fucking questions, because the truth will crack. Most of them, they'll tell you, oh, I got to go check on so-and-so, or I got to check on my mom, or I got some business to handle in the United States, or blah, blah, blah. They had to leave the country because their visa ran out. Again, this is not a problem, but y'all need to know this, because most of them that are selling you packages and things like that. Now, mind you, there are some, I'm going to speak specifically because these are the only ones that I know that I even pay attention to, are like, I think like their name is Stephanie, and some of the black women that have they do the house sitting, and now they're like in Mexico and Colombia, and they've been doing this for years. I've not been traveling abroad for years. I don't claim to be an expert in that. What I do claim to be an expert in are the things that I am an expert in, which is a multitude of fucking things, right? And this will help some of you if you are trying to figure out ways to fund your trips, even if it's not just to move abroad. If you have multiple talents, figure out how you can then turn that into a business if you want to. This ain't for everybody. But again, don't be listening to these so-called influencers who are telling you that they are digital nomads in another country abroad, because I have said it before, most of them have some type of income coming in from somewhere else, meaning a job. Now, I'm not knocking someone using the term as a digital nomad. I have been using that term, location independent, mostly, not digital nomad, but I have been using the term location independent ever since I walked away from corporate America and realized, yo, I can be anywhere as long as I have internet access. I'm so old school. I'm one of the people who used to carry around the little mobile hotspots. That's how old school I am, right? I'm so old school, like when I drove across country by myself, all I had was a flip phone and like Sirius radio, and you were able to download a Yahoo map, right? I'm Zipcar old. 20 something years ago. There were no internet cafes. Co-working spaces was just becoming a fucking thing. I am sick of people talking to me like I am 15 years old and I'm new to this, just because they look at my numbers and they think, oh, let me give her a tip. Let me help the old lady across the street. You know what? Fuck y'all. Because it's funny, but now I kind of understand what elders mean. So my mom was in technology. My mom was an engineer for a major company for many, many years. And so I remember her, like at the end of her career, they did layoffs. And when she went back, I remember her telling me one day, she was just like, I'm dealing with these young women in the office. And she was like, I don't care. She's like, you could just put me in a closet, in a broom closet or the filing cabinet office so I can ride out my last 2 years and get my retirement. I don't fucking care. And now it's even funnier because, yes, when we're younger, we think we know every fucking thing or whatever, but it's hard to imagine that someone as old as I am, who is not concerned about views or followers, cares. Back to the visa. A digital nomad. A person who is a real digital nomad, like I am, that is in another country on a digital nomad visa, has to take certain steps and has different requirements. I don't need views. I don't need to create content. I don't rely on advertising. I could care less whether or not one person or two person or nobody watches my videos or listens or reads what I do, because I don't get paid from that. I get paid from an offshore client who I am not employed by. I am an independent contractor. I work independently under my name as myself. I have worked as an independent contractor for them for 4 years now. Prior to that, I worked as an independent contractor for a nonprofit organization for 15 years. I have not been employed by anyone. Employment means if you are receiving a regular paycheck, they are withdrawing taxes and things like that out of your paycheck. You get insurance or whatever, all the things that come with having a job, which is nothing wrong with, because listen, I would love to have medical insurance, but funny things happen when your body knows that you ain't got medical insurance or dental insurance and things like that. You don't get as sick as you used to. When I had a job and worked for a company, I was at the fucking doctor's at least once a month. And now I think about it, I'm like, why the fuck was I always there? Was I that stressed? Was the job stressing me that much? Or did I just know that I had that to fall back on? And so my body was like, well, we might as well just go in for a monthly checkup. But that's a whole different conversation. So again, most of these people who are influencers and call themselves digital nomads, it doesn't mean that they're not a digital nomad. Just because someone calls themselves a content creator does not mean they're a content creator, right? So they can't tell you how to get to another country on a digital nomad visa or buy this program or buy this whatever when they haven't established themselves as an independent contractor to the point where a company is paying them as an independent person, a self-employed person, enough money. So every country has its minimum amount that it's going to require for you to show that you're making from work outside of the country, period, outside of the country. So for Brazil, I think it's 1,500, 2,500, I don't know. But the ranges that I've seen are about 1,500 is like the lowest that I've seen. And someone, please take the time to look it up, because not every country is going to be for everyone. And if you're just going because some asshole is just showing you the booties, the tatas, the sexy men, and the fucking palm trees, while they're not telling you they're making money from dividends or from military or from whatever else or whatever, they don't tell you that they're spending most of their time creating content. Creating content is time consuming, right? Or that they're having to pay someone to edit all these fucking videos. They're not telling you how much money they're having to spend on the software and the platforms and all the things to put the little subtitles. Y'all, that shit is not free. I have always been about the liberation of people in general, which means that I am going to always call out somebody who is not telling you the truth, and that is lying. Not being transparent. But so there's that, because I think that is a situation where people are just as guilty as these billionaire people that people always want to complain about, all of these capitalists that people want to complain about. It's the same mofos that be in our neighborhoods that we call family, that we call sis, that we call bro or whatever, and that want to make it seem like they're doing you some justice, that are not being transparent in that shit. Right? So if I say that I am about empowerment, that means I am going to have to point some things out to people to say, listen, these influencers, I promise you, the amount of money that I bring in very easily every month is a lot more than many of the people who have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 50,000 subscribers or views or whatever. I don't have to create content every fucking day, right? So when I say I am on my patio unbothered, I am on my patio unbothered. I work a few hours a month, do my work as an independent contractor for a company that is in the United States that says, because when you apply for a digital nomad visa, it's going to ask for bank statements. It's going to ask to make sure that you are getting paid consistently, because they don't want anyone else to be a burden on their systems, right? So you gather all that information, your payment, bank statements, all of those things, and then that's one stack of things that you're going to have, right? So you gather all of that. So then they have that. And then they're going to say, okay, and it doesn't have to be just one client. It can be multiple clients, as long as you can show consistency over the last few years or the last year that you have this income coming in. And as long as that, it could be 3 or 4 or 5 different clients. As long as it's consistent and it adds up to the minimum amount they want you to show, then you have that. Okay, so then you have to get all of that signed, notarized, apostilled, all of that shit, right? Then they're going to ask you for, there's a whole list of shit that typical content creators who just go somewhere for 6 months, y'all, they're not in Tulum or Tulum or whatever you call that place in Mexico, or Bali for 3 months and bouncing around. They're bouncing around because they can't stay longer than 30 days or 60 days or whatever, right? The ones that you want to listen to that are trying to teach and talk to you about something are the ones who can say, I've been living here for a year. Whether it's on a student visa or a digital nomad visa or a retirement visa or an investment visa, those are the ones who are not having to bounce around and have a bit more stability, right? Yes, there are some people who just want to travel because they just want to travel. I did that in the United States for a very long time. So there's that. Then whatever clients you have, you are going to have that client or clients write a letter and say, CC can work in, even though I'm not employed by them, they have to explicitly say that I a digital nomad, a real digital nomad, not a content creator or an influencer or somebody popular on the internet, is allowed to work online outside of the country. Then they have to take that letter to a notary in the United States. And if you are like me and didn't think things through before you arrived, I was here before I decided to do all of that, right? I just showed up and was like, I'll figure it out. So then when my visa, my tourist visa, the extended tourist visa that I had started to run out, I was like, yeah, I got to figure something out. So that's when I took the digital nomad approach. I could have done the student visa like a lot of people do, and most of them only go to class a couple of hours twice a week. I'm not that committed to nothing. And I knew I was not going to even show up to class twice a week. So let me just go ahead and take advantage of the shit that I have been doing for the last 20 fucking years, because why the fuck not? Because I am one of the ones, I am who I say I am. And so anybody else, if someone is watching this and you think that you're the only one who has decided to give me tips on what I should do, here's the other funny part. The other funny part is that people want to compete with me and they don't even know what they're competing against, right? Like, they have absolutely no idea what they're competing with me against. Like, okay, you want to compete with me on some digital shit. Like, first of all, my imagination is off the fucking chain. So not only do I have the wildest, most vivid fucking imagination, I got little digital technical skills too. So I can conjure up some shit in my brain quicker than your LinkedIn traditional shit that you will ever fucking do. Given the fact that sometimes my shit just be way out there so much that people don't understand what I did and why I'm doing it until 5, 6, 7 years later, but that's okay, because kudos to me. Here's the other thing. Why do people get offended when somebody toots their own horn? Because I toot my own horn or somebody else toots their own horn does not take away from you tooting your own horn. Because if I say what I'm great at, it does not mean that you're not great at something. Some of y'all really need to get out of the habit of feeling a certain kind of way when someone toots their horn. And if it's someone like me, polymaths, multi-potentialites, who come from a family of people, I have my uncles were professional pro sports, football and basketball players. Not only that, they are master craftsmen. My mother, my father, my grandmother, my grandfather, they excel at a multitude of different things. So how am I going to look sitting around saying, oh, the only thing that I do well is dot? That's a lie. So let me just run down all the things. So I am the original thought reader. The reason why I went with the name thought reader is because I was sick of seeing all of these woo-woo spiritual chicks. So here's the funny part, right? Like, when I started reading back in the day, my whole thing was like, listen, I will never ask you to come to a retreat, any of that shit wearing all white. Like, it's played out. I'm magical no matter what color I wear. I don't buy into a certain color, a certain color, what do you call it, attracts or pushes away a certain energy. I don't buy into any of that, right? And if I want to show up the way that I want to show up, I'm sure that other women want to show up. Just fucking show up. Just be. So I used to say, listen, we're going to have a retreat, not a retreat. We don't even use the word retreat, because retreat for what? We are going to have a respite. We are going to have a build-a-bond where we get together in our $5 Walmart leggings or whatever you want to show up, kitten heels. That's an inside joke for Tribe, because I had a bunch of women came to rural America on the compound. So some of y'all may have seen that I have been talking about the respite, which is not the porch or whatever. We actually have a physical house in rural America that was invested in using cooperative and collective economics by women that I met on the internet years ago. The door has a key code for any woman who needs to get away and just get away, right? So because I'm not there and I am committed and want to honor the just enormity, I guess I have to come back and talk about that or whatever, right? Because I don't want to get into much of that or whatever, right? I created a digital space that's a representation of the actual physical space. So if you go to respite.faafo.app, you'll see a video where the key code goes. That's the video. That's an actual fucking video. It's not AI. It's not stock photo. It's real. It's a real compound, that a space we call our compound, right? I'm not talking in circles. I am who I say I am. And I've been thinking about this, right? And I was like, why is it so hard for people to understand if I say I am this, I am this? Because there are so many charlatans and fake ass people out there. I got to go the extra fucking mile to show evidence of who I am. So, thought reader, I didn't want to do the whole woo woo, and I'm not going to even say the love and light, whatever, that whole fake ass aesthetic shit that I see less and less of. And I'm so glad that I see less of that. So I was like, yo, I'm reading for the everyday ratchet women who are just like me. I curse, I do all the things, right? I smoke, I drink, and I'm gonna show you how I can be as magical as fuck without having to always clear my pineal gland and drink alkaline fucking water and carry fucking crystals, right? Because people will sell you that shit, and maybe I'm just wired differently, I don't know. But let me show you. So I apparently needed to talk today. So that's when I started telling people, oh, bet you want to challenge me? Hold my drink. And some of them same people who was talking that shit is still sitting at the same fucking table, at the same fucking desk, in the same fucking house, in the same fucking apartment, in the same fucking city, talking about you need to cleanse, you need to do this, you need the sound healing bowl, you need to meditate, you need to align your chakras, you can't drink this, and yo, I'm gonna do all the ratchet shit, like all of it, and hold my drink while I'm at it, right? And I'm a toot twirl. So there's that. I am the original thought reader. The other thing about me is I'll do something, I'll do it to the fullest, and people be thinking I'm gonna need to hang on to that shit forever. And I'm like, okay, that was fun. I am my biggest competitor. I don't compete with anyone but myself. And sometimes I just do shit for shits and giggles just to see, can I pull it off? And then I pull it off and I'm like, all right, I can walk away from that and let it go. Some people be hanging on to identities and monikers and shit for dear fucking life. And I'm like, why? If you're as magical as you say you are, burn that shit down and create something else. Like, but again, I'm not like everybody else. So this is just me, again, reintroducing myself to the people who feel like they need to give me tips on some shit while I'm interweaving in what it means to be a digital fucking nomad. You are not a digital nomad officially on the books. Now let me give my disclaimer. People know Courtney I'm the furthest person who is like, you need to follow the rules and all of that. I am talking to you all who are listening to the wrong people who are giving you tips and trying to sell you something or tell you something or get you to believe something based off the number of fucking followers or subscribers they have. So if you want to come to the beach, if you want to live somewhere else, anywhere else in the world, or even if you just want to sit on your front porch in Arkansas, unfucking bothered, do you really want to be jumping through hoops creating content all fucking day and can't say what you want because you're going to get censored or you're going to get edited? The majority of the things that I do are never seen by Gen Pop. So the ladies and I tried, the women who were part of the tap and the porch or whatever, and I'll come back and I'll do a whole nother video because I didn't think that I needed to ever revisit this, but I see how all of that is also a part of this, and some people just really need an education and a reintroduction, right? So I got thrown out of somebody's little witchy group one time because she was not about empowerment or whatever. And not only was she about empowerment, right? Like, I know how powerful words are and how important it is for us to just kind of ramble and talk. And people were just constantly posting memes. Y'all have all been in them Facebook groups, right? Where you get in the group, you're excited or whatever, and you get in there and it's nothing but memes nonstop. Like, where is the fucking education in that? So I spoke on it. Surprise. And someone else, someone else was like, you know what? She's right. And not surprisingly, T is a Sag. I hope we're going to just say the letter T. And she was like, I've been wondering the same thing. I'm not learning shit from this. We don't even know who made the memes or whatever. And so the admin kind of let that slide or whatever. And then as they were selling lotions and potions and dream books and all the things, and I was like, at the time, in my defense, I did not know that people were dependent on that income to make a living, because I have always been truly a digital nomad, right? So I didn't know that these people were depending on how many people bought their ritual spells or their love spells and things like that. And I was just like telling the women, I was like, you know, you really don't need these crystals or whatever. Like, go to your backyard and just get a fucking rock, right? Like, and why are we raping Mother Nature and calling ourselves all spiritual and shit when we don't even, like, if y'all look to see how crystals are mined or whatever, like, people talk about data centers and all of that. People don't like me, because I'm gonna come with the other side of the fucking argument that people be on the bandwagon about, that just people make popular. So she didn't like the fact that I was empowering women to believe in themselves, and I was invited to leave the group. So I left, and when I left, a bunch of other women went with me, and they was like, what we doing? And I was like, what do you mean, what am I doing? I'm new to all of this, right? Like, I had just even been on Facebook. I hadn't even been in a Facebook group or whatever. And so then we started a group called The Tapestry, which then ended up being shortened to The Tap. The Tap then expanded into The Porch, and then The Porch expanded into an actual physical space. And now, over all those years of content and stories and teaching and learning and the Vanguard Mystery School, I've put all of that stuff in one digital house so people can go into that space and get what they need to tap the fuck back in, because some people need to tap the fuck back in right now. Fucking around with these people who've been talking about the same shit, and just because they got a few thousand followers or whatever, while at the same time getting income from other places. And again, I'm not knocking people, but tell the fucking truth. If you're same breath you're saying I am here to help you get free, but you ain't telling the whole fucking truth. Yo, I was joking with someone on Facebook the other day, like, a lot of our ancestors would have thrown a lot of y'all off the fucking boat early on the voyage. Like, just listen, y'all ain't about really truly freeing your people, whatever demographic of people you are associating with. So, digital nomad, I don't care. Second of all, the reason why I choose podcasting, so if you go to my videos, you'll see playlists, you'll see podcasts, and you'll see, live videos, shorts, videos, or whatever. I don't know what the little categories are. Some videos, they're not actually videos, they're just audio, is actual podcasts that I push from where I host my podcast. So if it's just audio, it's already been pushed to every podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, all iHeart, Pandora, or whatever, right? So if you're hearing something from me that looks like it's a video and shows up on YouTube, I didn't touch it. I've already recorded it. I've already pushed it out, syndicated it to at least 20 different platforms. And then there's a button that says, do you want to push this to YouTube? And I will say yes. And then it pushes that audio to YouTube. It automatically generates this little generic video or thumbnail and video. And then it has the sound waves for the sound bar at the bottom. And it'll ask me if I want to change the description or whatever, but it's pulling the image from where I host my podcast, the cover art, to YouTube and the other platforms, right? Now, because I don't change anything or with it, it doesn't get any views or anything, which doesn't matter to me. The reason why I push it to YouTube, because unlike iHeartRadio and Pandora or whatever, when you do that and you push a podcast to YouTube with the audio, it's still going to create automatic captions. The captions are not always going to be perfect, but that's fucking okay, right? So if I look at my stats on RSS feed, oh yeah, by the way, you little motherfucking lurkers, when I say I'm not new to this, every website, for the most part, has the capability, if someone puts it on there, a stat counter that tells you exactly where someone is coming to listen or watch your or read your blog post, so on and whatever. It will tell you the kind of device that they're on. It will tell you what time of day, a general IP address, where they are in the state, in the country, in the world. Guess what, lurkers? Podcast has the same feature. So for those of you who are like, I don't care about her, I don't this, that, I'm not paying attention to her. Listen, heifers. It has the same stats features. So when I go to my podcast stats, my analytics, let me correct myself because some of y'all mofos be wanting to try me. Let me use the proper language. So when I go to my analytics, it will tell me where someone is listening from. It will tell me not only what country, it will tell me what type of device that they use. It will tell me all of the things, right? And yes, you can use a VPN and there's certain ways to work around it, but when somebody's been nosy trying to see what the fuck you're up to after they done cussed you out and told you, I don't want to deal with her anymore or whatever, but you're still worried about what the fuck I'm doing and what the fuck I'm talking about. Hi, my name is Cece. I'm still thought reader, regardless. So not only am I an amazing fucking psychic, I'm technically savvy. And I'm really good with my hands. So I created this hashtag called I See With My Hands. Because the other thing that I learned about myself is that whether I'm making shoes, yes, I make shoes. Whether I am sewing clothes, yes, I know how to sew. Whether I am making mini altars, yes, I know how to shop and saw and drill and do some amazing fucking things with wood. I also make beautiful pipes. If you haven't seen my pipes, please go to Instagram and look up Bella Pipes. I make some of the sexiest fucking handmade pipes that you have ever seen in your fucking life, right? And I'm amazing with the digital shit. So, my name is Courtney. I don't need your tips because I do not rely on any of this shit to earn money. Thankfully, I have a client. I only have one client now, but I've had major clients. I've had multiple clients. I would recommend anyone that's thinking about doing a digital nomad, start small, get multiple clients, have that income documentation because they're going to ask for that, right? To show that you make a certain amount a month. And then, multiple streams of income is always great. So here's the other thing. Y'all, listen. I don't know how many views someone has to earn a little bit of money on YouTube. So let's say someone has to have 10,000 views on YouTube. So how much are you selling your soul to actually be seen on YouTube or whatever, right? Meaning you censor yourself, you can't really say what you want to say, you can't venture off from like the category that your video is placed in, so on and so forth. I actually have a longer podcast about this because here's what will happen after this. After this video goes live, after it's processed or whatever, I will export and download this video. I will take the video and I will import it I will either extract the audio or just import it into the podcast platform that I use or whatever. And then I will use the audio for this. So if you are listening on iHeart, Pandora, iTunes, and all of the other major and not so major podcast networks, hi, my name is Courtney. And I was also known as Thought Reader. And now I am known as CC in Brazil. And tomorrow might be known as something else. I'm also known as Pusha C. So I might have to get back to Pusha C sooner than later. But let's get back to exporting the audio, right? Because a lot of these little fake ass fucking influencers who want to educate me on some shit. And again, don't take this personal, because I'm doing this video because you obviously were not the only one. And I just had enough today. And I feel like somebody out there right now who is trying to keep up and buy these little fucking masterclass programs or whatever are probably smarter than all of the influencers out there. So let's just get back to the influencers, right? So I don't know how many views you have to have on Instagram or TikTok or whatever to earn some money. So let's just say it's 10,000, right? So to even get, unless with the exception that the rare situation where somebody goes viral, but for the most part, to get 10,000 views, because right now, if you go and look at someone on any of these platforms that has 10,000 followers, subscribers, or whatever, most of them are not getting the equal amount of viewership. It's not equaling out. So someone that might has 10,000 subscribers are only hitting a couple of thousand views per video. Yes, there are exceptions, but just take a look. Instead of just watching some, like, look around you. Y'all need situational awareness. Like, critical thinking needs to be brought back into society. Just look, right? Look at what they're saying and compare that to what you actually see, right? Like, look at their space, their digital spaces as their homes. Like you would walk into, evaluate it like you evaluate somebody when you go into their house. If you are that kind of person that goes into somebody's bathroom and looks in their medicine cabinet or looks under their cabinet to see and be nosy in their drawers, do the same thing on their social media platforms, on their digital platforms or whatever, right? Also, if they have not figured out how to rally their community and corral people into a space that they can still have an opportunity to educate and do whatever they do. If these social media platforms, if they decided to shut down YouTube tomorrow, where are all those people going to go? What are they going to do with all those people? If they decided to shut down TikTok or Instagram tomorrow, where are all these people that are their fans? How are they going to keep in touch and get that information out to them? I know a whole bunch of people that ran to Substack. Okay, same shit, right? Yes, it makes it easier, but you can do the same shit. Like if some of y'all just took 7 days after work and taught yourself how to use WordPress, and I'm using WordPress because it's the one that's most versatile and robust, and it's easy to add things on and expand. But you can teach yourself that and do the same shit with your own email marketing newsletter and do all of that or whatever, right? So 10,000, let's say with 10,000 views, you make $100. That's 10,000 views, you make $100. A lot of these people then have to post very frequently, right? They're not telling you how long they're spending doing the editing. It's a lot easier than it used to be back in the day. And someone might say, oh, well, I use this software. How much are you spending on that software? And even if you're using a free version, there's issues that come with the free version, meaning you don't have a lot of people think they're saving themselves time by saving $20, right? By using, so let's say a platform that will tell you that you can make editing easier for video, because editing video is a pain in the fucking ass unless you have like an assistant. Video takes up a lot of fucking storage, so you got to figure out where you're going to save the raw version of the video. You got to figure out where you're going to save the edited version of the video, and storage ain't free. So there's that. So now you have this video, right? You're thinking, oh, I'm going to save $20 by not paying for the, the lower tier version of whatever, right? Okay, so, but how many other things do you have to like meal piece together just to get the free version of a piece of video? And how is that limiting you in your expansion of growth? Even to the point where you're able to create things that you can put in your portfolio to show an actual potential client. So then that way you don't have to do all the things that people do to stay in the country, be it student visa, coming and going, getting married, having a baby, all the things that people do to be able to stay in a country longer than 90 days or 180 days or whatever it is or whatever, right? So, y'all, I got so many stories. I'm saying all of that to say is there is a way for someone who has 5 followers, right? 5 friends, 5 subscribers that doesn't have to edit themselves, doesn't have to censor themselves, doesn't have to be worried about being shadow banned or not, or fitting into a box and not being able to toot their own horn and show all the things that they can do exquisitely, masterfully, or whatever, right? Like, people literally be talking about corporations and big money companies or whatever while they're selling their soul to the fucking devil every day by not being their full authentic self because they're trying to get these few paychecks. Okay? So most of what I do is not on any social media platform. I don't need the tips unless I ask about something specific, like, yo, I really am trying to find a video editing software, like, what do you use or whatever. In closing, please do not think that I depend on any views, clicks, or any of that to make a living. As long as I'm keeping my client happy and helping them through these challenging times, that is how I am here on an actual visa, a digital nomad visa. Y'all, go and stop listening to these people. Go Google whatever country that you want to go to or send your kids to or whatever. Google, what are the requirements of a digital nomad visa? And then start from there. What are the requirements for a student visa? What are the requirements for a long-term visa other than a visitor visa or whatever, right? Because some of y'all are sitting on enough money right now, which ain't really a lot of money. I ain't got it, to be able to buy a piece of property in a country that will secure you outside of a visa and get you citizenship or it'll get you residency or whatever, right? There's still some waiting period. I am not an attorney, but there's other ways to do things. So there's that. But again, not everybody wants to move abroad. This is a mindset. This is shifting your mindset. This is about getting smarter about, it's teaching you how to ask questions. It's even if you want to be self-employed in the United States, which I was for many years prior to moving here, you got to start thinking differently. And I promise you, there's no fucking shortcut. No one can sell you a system that took them 15 years to perfect and have it. Y'all are smarter than this, right? If it took someone several years to perfect a formula and a system, you can't package that and sell that to someone and you all expect that you're going to automatically be successful, because there are just some things you're going to have to learn the hard way in doing. To this day, I find myself, if I'm learning something new, I have to do it over and over and over and over again several times, not because I'm slow. It's the pattern recognition in doing the thing that then makes it knowledge and wisdom, not just, and that then is what allows you to sell to clients, to be a solution-based provider to a company, as opposed to individuals where you have to just keep selling every single month. You're doing the same fucking thing because you sell something unless you have them on a reoccurring income or retainer. Some of y'all are funny as fuck. Stay with me for a minute. Some of these people, I'm not gonna knock it. Some of these people on social media are funny. Create better content than I've seen on any major network, right? I am not sure why someone hasn't created a network. There is something called OTT. I'm going to let you go and Google it, and that has to do with video. OTT programming. You can basically create your own network to the point where you can even push it to Roku. Like if you look hard enough, you can find me on Roku. You can push it to Roku and have people subscribe. You can create your own, for church people. I'm hearing church people. If you're in the church, right? There's no reason you can't go around to different churches in your neighborhood and say, we're going to create our own network, right? Get them all, do their videos or whatever, and put it all on one network, and people subscribe to be able to watch different sermons on one platform. Subscription-based video network channel. It's no different than like the fitness channels or something like the Pilates channels and things like that. There's some of y'all, if you are great with tools or whatever, there's so many different things that you can do that doesn't cause you to have to keep up chasing viewers or making sure. You don't have to make yourself small to make money online digitally. So, in closing, that is my rant about what an actual digital nomad is. Again, not knocking anyone, but your everyday influencer is not by default a digital nomad on a digital nomad visa. Can they be? Yes, but not by default. Ciao.